In this video, we're going to talk about how data can be accessed from a catalog, a step that we call provisioning. So users use the catalog to find sources that they're interested in. They pull them into a virtual Mart, and there they do some modeling, they set some joins, select the columns they want. And the next step is to get the data out of the catalog into a format or tool that they can use for further analysis. So there are three different ways the data can be provisioned out of the catalog. The first is a provisioner that creates an application-specific file that tells a BI or analytical tool how they should connect to and interact with the Mart. The second option is to create a manual connection over ODBC or JDBC to execute SQL connections from any other tool against the Mart. And the third option is to use a provisioner that generates a flat file, which queries the Mart, joins the data, and writes it out to a flattened file such as a CSV, for example. So a look at the steps in this process. First, when a user is happy with how their Mart looks, they publish the model, which makes it available via the catalog SQL interface. And they then get the connection info for the Mart. And from there, they can then use another SQL compliant tool or provisioner to request the source data, the second step. When a catalog receives requests for data, it then will either pull data from the underlying database or refer to the universal index to pull the data from there and pass the results through to the end user or requesting tool. So what makes the difference between if the data is pulled from the underlying source directly or pulled from the catalog? The difference is really if it's a database source or not. So if the source comes from a Spider database, where typically only a sample is brought in, the query that is executed against the Mart is passed through or federated back to the underlying source, where the query is executed, and that query then returns the freshest data and only data that that user has access to see, and the results are passed through to the requesting user or tool. Alternatively, for non-database sources like uploaded CSV or unstructured content that has been brought into the catalog, that information is served up directly from the built-in universal index and returned along with SQL compliant sources to the requesting user. So let's take a look at how this actually works in action. Okay, so here we have a simple Mart with two sources in it. We can see that one source is a database source. It appears to come from Hive in a Hadoop instance. And we also have a CSV containing some extracts from news sources. So this is all we need in this Mart for now. We can take a look at what it looks like to provision it out. So the Mart has been published, which means it's available to SQL. We can click this Provision Mart drop-down menu and see a list of provisioners that are available to us. From here, we can select the provisioner we want. So say, for example, we want to provision to Tableau. We can click this button, and the catalog will automatically generate a file that tells Tableau how to connect to this Mart and how the sources should be related. Now, all we need to do is open this up in Tableau, and we see that automatically the source information and the fields that we included in our view are ready for us to use and to create visualizations to continue analyzing this data. From here, as we add filters and use different attributes, Tableau will interact directly with the catalog over ODBC, and we'll get the results back immediately. That wraps up this topic. Thanks for taking a couple minutes to watch this video.